meeting of Clawson Council. I'm going to call this meeting to order, and we're all going to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. Could we have roll call, please? Present.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke,
Here.
Councilmember Peltonen,
Here.
Councilmember Rinkovich,
Present.
Councilmember Slawinski,
Present.
Councilmember Tinlin.
Here.
Okay, so we are here to do candidate interviews for, just to do a little housekeeping. I thought that maybe the way we could approach this is we're going to run through the list of questions. We're going to ask each person the same questions in the same order. And I was thinking, Councilmember Tinlin, if you take the first two, Councilmember Slawinski taking the next two, Councilmember Rinkovic taking the next two, Councilmember Peltonen taking the next two, then I'll just do the three because someone has to. I'll do the three under ethics, commitment, availability, and then Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke if you do the last two. And for each candidate, we'll just run through the same order, top to bottom, for each one. Does that work for everybody? Any objections? Speak now, forever hold your peace. All right, excellent. So I see we have some of the candidates here with us. Now, we can't violate the OMA and say that you have to leave, but we respectfully request if you would be so kind as to step out until it's your turn. There's a lovely conference room just down the hall. And we will get started by welcoming Mr. Scott Manning to the podium. And before we start with our questions, if you want to take a few minutes to give us a brief statement of who you are and whatever you have prepared.
My name is Scott Manning. I'm the pastor of the Clawson United Methodist Church and St. Luke's United Methodist Church in Rochester Hills. If you Google St. Luke's, you'll get a bunch of them, but I'm at the one in Rochester Hills. I live here in the center part of the city, and it's a privilege to be here. I'm running as a candidate for city council to serve community. I've had a life of community service and desire to continue to serve in a variety of ways. I've served on school boards, served at the pleasure of a county commission, a couple of boards and agencies, and currently, beyond pastor, I serve at the will of a bishop on some agencies and also coalition here in Oakland County to assist immigrants, migrants, and those who are left behind after family members have been deported. So those are a few things that I do. Most of you have met me numerous times, and we've sat around, so you have an idea of who I am.
Well, welcome. Thank you so much for your willingness to interview for this position. We'll start off with Councilmember Tinlin with the first set of questions.
Well, I think you answered a few of them already, though. Right? So, the first question actually was briefly introduce yourself and explain why you're interested in serving the city council. Do you have any other expansion on that besides your introduction?
No, I don't want to waste your time as we've been through some of that.
I'm sorry, we'll do it next time.
Okay, and I think you hit the experiences as well, correct, unless you want to add to that?
Yep, I have 9 years of experience serving on public school boards of education, in good times, in bad times, and when I had to be the bad guy in the community as the chair of the finance committee when we cut a quarter of our budget, in making all those painful motions, knowing that we take an oath to the community to balance a budget and to serve our children in the best way we could. And that was probably the most challenging time of all of my public service career, was when we were faced with budget cuts and how to balance and do the best programs possible.
Perfect. I think those are my questions, right?
Yep. Next, we have questions from Councilmember Slawinski.
Hi, and thank you for being here. You kind of answered some of this. Have you previously served in any public office, board, or commission? If so, please describe the roles that you haven't told us about.
Sure. On the first Board of Education, I was one of the youngest elected people in the state of Michigan to a Board of Education, being elected the year after I graduated high school. On that board, I served on the negotiations team, so labor relations, served on the finance team. I served the better part of a year as the vice president of the school board. When the board president resigned from that position, then I finished up my term on the Board of Education. First time we had negotiations, it took 13 months to complete a contract. That same group, we improved our relations and we had a contract in 44 minutes. So to go from 13 months of fighting to 44 minutes sitting at a table when we had to make 20% cuts to our budget. So that experience. On the second school board I served on, I was on the personnel and on the negotiating team, on the policy board. At the first board, everybody dealt with the policy when we revamped all policies. So kind of like what you did with the charter, we did with the Board of Education. So those experiences. I've also served at the will of the county commission. So with strategic planning, visioning, working with local governments, agencies, organizations, and businesses through visioning, strategic planning, and training. The training that you had this past week, we developed similar type training. I was on the team that put that together in Montcalm County. Not Macomb, Montcalm, up in the center part of the state. The land of Meyer.
Okay, thank you. We're going to go into knowledge of the community and local issues. And the first question I have for you is, what do you believe are the top 3 issues currently facing our city?
Trust, infrastructure, and strategic planning, which deals with the first 2. When we have water mains breaking and challenges with our infrastructure, how to deal with our roads, those pieces that unfortunately Clausen, like other governmental units, has deferred maintenance, and that's a huge challenge for us. And the trust factor between council and administration and within community, the divisions in the community is a challenge we have to work with.
Thank you.
Next, we have Councilmember Rinkovic.
All right. So how do you propose to balance economic development with neighborhood preservation?
Do a slow and measured approach. You have to look at that. That's why I keep came back to the point every time in campaigning is strategic development, strategic planning. We have to look at the overarching goals and needs of the city, and those development pieces are part of that. So when we look at a housing development such as is being proposed across the street from the church, how does it fit the neighborhood? How is our infrastructure? If we're building something that's going to tax that infrastructure, how is that part of the development? It's not so easy to build a whole lot of stuff, a whole lot of buildings or high rises and not have infrastructure to sustain it. And what is the characteristic of the city? So it all mixes. You can't do it without a strategic plan, without a master plan, and people working together and balance the interests of the neighborhood with that of the entire city.
Thank you. Are there any current city policies or ordinances you believe should be revisited or reformed?
I would have to look through all of those policies, and part of the challenge I see is when you tinker with the system, as in creating a whole new charter, you can't do everything in a short order. But our human resources needs would be an area that I'd see ordinances and policies. How do we develop those? How do we work through those? I know one of the questions that came up during a number of council meetings is parking. What are our parking policies? What are our strategies to deal with shortages of parking in neighborhoods? I don't want free parking on both sides of the street down our neighborhoods. They will not sustain it. But is there a way to develop some sense of ability for parking in areas that driveways and garages and lots don't sustain the amount of space necessary for a family?
Thank you.
All right, next we have Councilmember Peltonen.
Hello. So we are moving on to governance and decision-making. And the first question I have for you is, how would you approach decision-making when the public opinion is divided on controversial issues?
That I have experience with. So I go back to the issue of my experience on the school board is the hotbed. Clawson doesn't have this kind of problem because Clawson's only 2.5 square miles. But the district that I served and was the finance chair, vice president of the board, it's 155 square miles. We did not have Proposal A or sustained funding. So the challenge came, how do we provide the highest quality education? Busing was not number one priority for door-to-door busing. So the challenge comes when there is a division in the community. You have to go back to what is the overarching goals of the community? What are the needs of the community all together? Sometimes as a city official or as an elected official, you're going to go with the voices of the people that come forward. Other times you have to look at what's the state law, what's the charter, and what is the long-term need of the city. With that, most of the time, the public's concerns come to the forefront and are listened to, but we have to be real in knowing that there are times when state law, federal law, or the charter bring the challenges that we have to look there first.
Yeah. And then second, I have, how would you prepare for council meetings and ensure you're making informed decisions?
Number one is get the information and read it. Before the meeting, if there are questions, find answers, seek answers. Don't wait till I get to the table to say, oh, I'm looking at this, what is an answer to this? There are things that affect neighborhood specific, so to prepare, what is the interest of that neighborhood? What are the concerns of the neighborhood? But in each policy, you have to look at it individually. I don't have a set answer for that, other than do your homework, read the materials, be ready, and don't wait to the last minute to throw a zinger, because that doesn't get an answer for me or for the community to be able to do the best decision. At the same time, questions and concerns have to be vocalized in a council meeting. Sitting at the table and not saying anything often produces what the community calls as a rubber stamp. They don't think that we do our homework. They don't think that we're looking at anything. And they either think we're in the pocket of the city administrator or we hate the city administrator. When the reality is, in most cases, that's not true in either respect. So the part of being a council member is to work with the mayor, to work with the city manager, and to work with the community to get the best information available before a meeting.
Thank you. All right. So the next category is ethics, commitment, and availability. The first question is, are you aware of the Open Meetings Act and your responsibilities under it? And can you expound on that?
Sure. I have 9.5 years of experience of the Open Meetings Act, being bound to it, which means every email you send or reply to, every word you say, every little huddle you participate in, everything you do is suspect. And when I say suspect, it means when you do it understanding that it may be subject to the Open Meetings Act. So don't do things in secret. We don't operate like the mafia or like a club or a clique. It's in community.
Thank you. I'm going to just modify the next question a little bit. Can you please define what you believe to be ethical conduct, and how will you ensure ethical conduct in your role as a council member?
Ethical conduct is collaboration, it's respect, it's honesty, it's trustability, is not saying one thing to somebody and the exact opposite behind their back. It's coming in with the interest of the city, respecting the state law, federal law, and doing what's best for the community. My golden rule is if I don't want it done to me, I'm not going to do it to you. And that's the foundation of my ethics. And as a person of faith, I don't want to meet my maker and come to that point. A question that I always think of is, who did you screw over? Or who did you serve and help? I prefer it all to flow as much as possible to who did you serve and help. To me, that's ethics.
Okay. My last question is, do you have any potential conflicts of interest, financial, employment, family ties with the city operations or any vendors?
No.
I guess, tell me more. All right. Next, we have Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke.
Good evening, Mr. Manning. Question for you. How do you plan to represent the interests of all residents, including those who may not share your views?
I've done that all through public life. And as a pastor, not everybody who walks through the doors of a church agrees with the pastor. Not everybody agrees with the person sitting next to them or even their spouse. But we have to collaborate. We have to work together. We have to respect one another. Unless you burn the bridge, I'm willing to work with you. If you burn the bridge, I didn't set it on fire. I'm willing to go across the bridge. Not if it's on fire, but I'm willing to go across the bridge. I can't swim, so I'm not swimming across an open body of water. But I believe your role and whoever sits in that seat has to be a collaborator. Not a rubber stamp, not a bully, but a collaborator. And knowing that there will be times it's a 7-0 decision, there will be times it's a 6-1 decision. My first year on the Board of Education, there were a lot of 6-1 decisions. I had experience having recently come out of that educational system that others on the board did not have. They were 20 years, 30 years, or however many years out. So their decisions were different than mine by experience that they had, perspective they had, where they were in life. And I know that that's the case with the city government as well.
Thank you. One more question here. What specific goals would you hope to accomplish during your term?
Come back to the one that I've hit, and you'll think I'm a broken record. We need a strategic plan. We need visioning, and that strategic plan needs to include the council. It needs to include the administration, the school, the business. It needs to include people from different perspectives of the city to come in. What is your vision? What is your dream? Where do you want to see the city in 5 years and 20 years? And is our government helping us fulfill that vision or not? And so some of that might be, what are services that we need to enhance? What are services we need to let go of in order to move us forward? If I had one focus, it would be we need to come together for that, for where we're going in the future. And it's not for me to tell you what that vision is. It's for me to participate and be part of creating that.
Thank you.
That concludes all of our questions. Do you have any closing remarks or any final thoughts you want to share with us before we move on?
It's been an honor and a pleasure to be able to participate in this process through the campaigning season and through this appointment process. My hope is that you'll look at where can I be a part of the city in helping further its diversity, furthering its ability to move forward and progress, to collaborate, to share vision. And if you feel fit that the experience that I have and the overly long resume that you have in front of you, if that can help with the process of the council and the city, I seek to be part of it.
All right, well, thank you so much for being willing to come in and being willing to offer to serve. We appreciate you and your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is our next.
Madam Mayor, just as a point of order, I guess, is Mr. Renshaw is tied up in Shelby Township, I believe. He's not going to be able to make his interview. He offered to call in, but I guess we are unable to do that due to OMA. So I want to let the council know that, and I don't know if there's some other,
Is he not going to be able to make it at all tonight?
that's my
or-
understanding, yes.
Okay, all right. So, and then is Mr. Shepherd here?
He is not, he was not due till 8.
Okay.
We do have
Yes,
Mr.
Mr. Shipshack. So why don't we just put him in Mr. Renshaw's spot, since he was already here? That'll keep us on time. And then after we talk to everyone, we can decide what, if anything, we'll do about Mr. Renshaw.
I'll go in.
Thank you. Talk amongst yourselves. I feel like dead air on a radio. We shouldn't do it, but I just don't have anything to say. So we'll all just sit here and look at each other. Good evening, Mr. Shipshack. Thank you for being willing to move ahead of schedule so that we can not just stare at each other for a half hour. So I greatly appreciate it.
Of course.
So we're going to start off with questions from Councilmember Tinlin.
There we go. Okay, Mr. Shipshack, we're going to.
It's actually Spishak.
Spishak. Oh, I'm sorry. I always say it wrong.
It's okay.
Bad
I
with
get many
names.
iterations. I just figured, for the record,
So I'll say
Spishak.
sir, how about that?
Sir
All
works,
right,
yes.
Okay. So we're going to first talk about just personal background and motivation. Can you briefly introduce yourself, explain why you're interested in serving on the city council?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Alex Spishak. I obviously live in Clawson. I've lived in Clawson for roughly about 4 or 5 years now. And it quickly became my home. It is obviously my favorite place. I get to work in Clawson. I get to live in Clawson. I go to church in Clawson. I do almost everything in Clawson, which is great. And it's led me to meet a lot of wonderful people, to the amazing people that cut my hair who are sitting in the audience, to a lot of people who are willing to support me and for me to be able to give back. So I think it's very important, and that's a little bit about me and why I chose to run.
Okay. So maybe on the second question is, what experiences, personal, professional, or civic, have best prepared you for this role?
So my background is sort of a smattering of different things. I have a banking background, accounting background, and a real estate background, along with a lot of different businesses that I've worked with in the past through management. So I think sort of everything that I've done throughout my career so far has put me into a position that really makes sense for me to help this city in different ways, different ideas, different vision. Being able to look at numbers is a fun thing. I know a lot of people really love it or really hate it. But I actually really enjoy it. I like seeing, the breakdowns and how everything sort of works out. So I always joke that I was that nerd that would play video games that enjoyed the actual business side of like Madden and FIFA instead of actually playing the game. So I think that really helps me, and that sort of leads me to be able to serve the city well.
Okay, well, thank you.
Next, we have Councilmember Slawinski.
Hello, and thank you for being here.
Of course.
Have you previously served in any public office, board, or commission? And if so, can you please describe your role?
Yes. So I'm currently serving on the DDA board in the city of Clawson. I'm like a board member at large, so just work on the board, do the different fun things, go to the meetings. And then in the past, I guess currently I'm serving on the Lions Club as a board member, but that's like a third party, not really city entity. And then I was the youngest appointed to the tree board in Berkeley. So that was a city commission. I got to learn that when I was 16, which was super cool. Sort of drove my passion for environment and everything like that. So it was a cool experience at a young age. So I got to experience government very young.
Great, thank you. We're going to move on to knowledge of the community and local issues. What do you believe are the top 3 issues currently facing our city?
Obviously, I think one of the major ones that everybody would say would be the infrastructure. We do have a great infrastructure bond that the city manager put through and for a vote and got it passed. But I think really focusing on the infrastructure, not only just in the streets and the pipes and everything like that, but the internal infrastructure. Many buildings that are city-run are very old, need updates, making sure that they're ADA compliant, different things like that. I would probably say that would be top 2. It's always good to look at, the budget and see where we're at, what we can save, what we can do better on. I think that that's very important, especially for taxpayers. Trying to think of third one. I mean, really, it would just be, I think, working with the city. I think I'm really excited for when we're able to do the, town hall and be able to be transparent with everybody and have those conversations and questions. So I think that that's important as well.
Thank you.
Next, we have Councilmember Rinkovic.
All right, so continuing on with knowledge of the community and local issues, how do you propose to balance economic development with neighborhood preservation?
I definitely think that that's very important. Really focusing on what we can do as a city and how we can keep our, small town, little city with a big heart, but also move forward with improving the city, growing the city, whether it's within new businesses or new opportunities for citizens with a new senior center or a community center. I think balancing those are very important. So I think focusing on the current facades that we have in downtown and other businesses, providing opportunities for grants for those businesses that might not know about them, and really elevating what we currently have while keeping small town charm. It's very important.
Are there any current city policies or ordinances that you believe should be revisited or reformed?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely things I think we can look at when it comes to different policies and procedures, ordinances for sure. I see it when it comes from the business side with my history with the Clawson Chamber. I see a lot of good ordinances, but I also see ones where people struggle to understand, or there might not be brought into the future with, signing ordinances and stuff like that. I know a couple of businesses that have struggled with that recently. But yeah, I'm sure there's definitely, more that we can look at, but that was one that came to mind.
Thank you.
Next, we have Councilmember Peltonen.
Okay, we are moving on to governance and decision-making. How would you approach decision-making when the public opinion is divided on a controversial issue?
I would want to make sure that I hear all sides. Obviously, I think public forums are important, so any way that we can add to allow people to, speak what they believe in is important for us to hear so we can make those tough decisions. I know we're not always, going to please everybody. I've witnessed it myself from different things that I do within the city currently. But I think being as fair as possible is important, and making sure that we listen to the public because they're the ones that, put everybody in their seats.
Okay, and how would you prepare for council meetings to ensure you're making informed decisions?
Obviously, reading over the packet is very important. I think researching and seeing, what's in play. It's very different from just reading the front page and seeing, oh, here's 4A, 4B. It's really digging down and seeing what is at play and, what changes are necessary and why those changes might need to be made or why they might not need to be made. So really digging into that and then having the conversation, providing myself with an open opportunity for anybody to reach out and learn their point of views, I think is very important.
Thank you.
All right, I'm up next, and my category is ethics, commitment, and availability. Tell me, are you aware of the Open Meetings Act and your responsibilities under it?
Yes, I've sat in quite a few meetings myself and been a part of them, understanding that it's very important to have the Open Meetings Act and helping people understand what it's about. So there's open and transparency. So yes.
Okay. Next question. Can you please tell me what your definition of ethical conduct is, and how would you ensure ethical conduct in your role as a council member?
I think ethics are very important. Really taking a step back and understanding if I was to be chosen for the seat, that I'm, placing myself above. I'm not somebody who's set aside. I'm not this. I am held to a higher standard than everybody else. So making sure to continue to hold myself to that higher standard across the board and understanding those guidelines. Obviously, the more training I can have, the better it makes me as a person. So any opportunity outside of training that would be done in council, I would go out of my way to try to find those opportunities.
Okay. And tell me, do you have any potential conflicts of interest, financial, employment, family ties with city operations or vendors?
I'm the executive director of the Clawson Chamber of Commerce. I've said this many a times throughout my campaign. The Chamber of Commerce is a nonprofit that has no city ties outside of having an office here. We work well with the city and we try to partner with the city. But outside of that, I'm not tied to anybody directly into the city.
Can you expand on that, on how you would address perhaps an issue that comes up under your responsibilities as the chamber that's before council? How would you resolve those types of things?
Yeah, so obviously the chamber is my day job, but my focus would be to, if there was anything that came across that would seem a conflict of interest, I would make sure to recuse myself. I think that makes it easier with today's council being expanded to 7 and being able to separate myself in that capacity to make sure that there's no lines crossed.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke.
Mr. Spishak, thanks for joining us tonight. How do you plan to represent the interests of all residents, including those who may not share your views?
I want to be able to work with everybody. That's my goal. I think it's important. As city council, we're supposed to be nonpartisan. We're supposed to be people that work with everybody, and it's not, well, I don't like you because you don't like my, opinion or whatever the case may be. I would want to get to the bottom of it. I went through most of my campaign and even in other workings in the city, hearing people out, understanding what the reasonings they have for their thought process and what my thought process may be. And I think really being able to work and be transparent across the board is very important. So I would focus on that, having those conversations and hearing people out, because I think it's really important. I'm never going to just make a decision because, hey, I believe in one thing. I want to be able to learn from everybody. I think it's very important. That's what I try to do on a daily basis.
Awesome. What specific goals would you hope to accomplish during your term?
I think really, working within the city, finding ways that we can improve our tax burden, finding ways that we can improve the city as well. Obviously throughout the campaign, a lot of people will always, look for grants, look for opportunities like that, but really taking a deeper dive and seeing ways that we can work with the communities that surround us within our own and finding those to continue to help us improve our city.
Thank you.
All right, well, that concludes our formal questions. I'd like to give you the opportunity for any closing statements or anything else you'd like to share with us, or it's important for us to know.
Of course. I just want to say thank you to everybody. It's definitely been a fun, long process. As we all know, we just went through an election. And I'm proud to say that I've been able to work with every single one of you up there, have conversations. So, no matter the outcome of tonight, I'm excited to continue to work with the city. And I'm here for the long haul. I plan to be here. This is where I want to raise my family. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spishak.
Spishak.
Thank you
okay.
for your willingness to interview with us and your
course.
willingness to serve. We appreciate you coming in today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ms. Cuckoo, is Mr. Shepherd here?
I have not seen him walk in.
All right.
I can go check and see if he's out there.
How about I call a 15-minute break, and then we'll reconvene in 15 minutes and see if we have our next candidate for interview.
Motion for recess if possible, Madam Mayor.
Pardon me?
Motion for recess if possible.
Okay. I make a motion that we have a 15-minute recess.
Second.
Roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke,
Yes.
Councilmember Poltman,
Yes.
Councilmember Rinkovich,
Yes.
Councilmember Slawinski,
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin,
Yes.
and Mayor Moffett.
We are recessed for 15 minutes.
Okay.
All right, we are back. Thank you very much for your patience as we reschedule and reshuffle ourselves. Mr. Shepherd, if you would join us at the podium, we're ready for you. Thank you for coming in a little bit early. We just kind of punting a little bit here.
No problem at all.
All right, well, we welcome you, and we're going to start off with questions from Councilmember Tinlin.
Okay, Mr. Shepherd, we're going to start with the personal background and motivation. Can you briefly introduce yourself and explain why you're interested in serving on the city council?
Sure. My name is Glenn Shepherd, and I've been serving the community since 2010. First as, actually 2009, now I think about it, Compensation Committee, and then 2010, I was appointed to the Planning Commission, of which I served on for 12 years. And then the last tail end of that service with the Planning Commission, I served as chairman. And then obviously after that, I've served 4 years as a city councilman. So I got involved because I love this community. I got involved because my family has long history here. I got involved because I wanted to make sure that I made a difference within our community so that my kids have something to look forward to come back to, that there's a legacy that's in place for them.
Okay. What experiences, personal, professional, or civic, have best prepared you for this role?
Well, serving on council. I mean, 4 years on council, and before that, understanding the entirety of my 16 years for service with Clausen, understanding the dynamics, understanding the history, understanding what the hot topics are, but also understanding the people too. We have an identity that is very different from any of our other close neighbors. It was once long ago that people would consider us to be similar to Madison Heights, and I would always correct them, no, we're Clausen, right? Don't make that mistake. But besides that, so I have served on Planning Commission. I was a member of, as a council member, I was a member of the MML, Transportation, Infrastructure, and Technology Legislative Policy Committee. I was also a member of our Kenwood PTO, former member Kenwood PTO. And I'm also 16 years as a MSU Extension Master Gardener. And then as I continue to try and find time, I have been a baseball coach, a head coach, since 2017, and currently coaching for a tournament team out of the Royal Oak Sandlot League. Just finished up my 7th season in Fall Berkeley with the Berkeley Dads Club, and then also the number of seasons with CYBSL. So I've had an opportunity to experience those communities firsthand with their Parks and Recreation Department, understanding what works for them and what could potentially work for us. And through those relationships, I've gotten to know a number of people in the area, especially the people that are influential in a lot of large sports, namely the Royal Oak Leprechauns. I've had a relationship with them and the programs that they provide and the recreational services that they allow for kids, not just within Royal Oak, but within the surrounding community. And, they've done a tremendous amount of goodwill, not just for the city of Royal Oak, but for this area.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next we have Councilmember Slawinski.
Hi, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. I think you've covered one of my questions. Have you previously served in any public office, board, or commission? So I'll move on to the next one. The category is knowledge of the community and local issues. And my first question to you is what do you believe are the top 3 issues currently facing our city?
Yeah, so I've built a relationship with a number of other organizations in our community. I have a strong relationship with our school board and the members on the school board, and also with their administration. Some of the people that I've met through them it's key to me that we need to do as much as we can in order to strengthen the families, single families within Clausen, so that we have a viable, sustainable community, so that we can attract as many families with children into our area, retain them so that we can do as much for our school system as much as possible. I think that is one of our utmost priorities, that we have to preserve and protect our single-family zones, and with that, do as much as we can in collaborating with the school district and attracting those families so that they can establish the roots, that they can have then their kids come back and keep the cycle going so that we are a viable and a sustainable community. Other than that, I think our Parks and Rec is a major factor that we have to consider. We have our Parks and Rec master plan that's coming up, and we need to determine what we are going to do regarding Hunter. Are we going to refurbish it? Do we need to put it someplace else? If we do, what's that cost? What's the impact? And then what we do with the property on either side. Do we partner with somebody else? I mean, these are a lot of things we need to consider. The other thing is, as I mentioned, the single-family neighborhoods, and part of that is making sure that we have the infrastructure in place that we've already started. And it's important that we make sure that we maintain that to see it through its fruition.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Councilmember Rinkovic.
All right, well, continuing with knowledge of the community and local issues. So how do you propose balancing economic development with neighborhood preservation?
I think we went through that just recently.
Yes, we did.
So there was a lot of discussion regarding the properties at Shaw. Part of the discussion came onto us on why it was that we're either allowing it to happen or our responsibility in buying the property and trying to make that into a viable option for us as a community. Well, the problem with that is that it would probably cost more to refurbish it than it would be to do anything else with it. And taking on that I think it was like $6 million in order to refurbish it. There were so many problems with that site that wasn't possible. So obviously the school district already had a plan in place, which was to develop it with, if I remember it, Robinson Brothers, for the development of 44 homes on that site. And from the plans that I saw and doing my history on that location, that was originally part of a neighborhood plat called Arrow Gardens. So as part of our R1 district, where we have the area south of Elmwood, that was supposed to curve into and north of Elmwood and take over and develop the properties where the site of Shalom happened. Well, obviously, the recession hit and the plans for continuing to develop that were on hold. And so that property was eventually available for the school to develop. But at the same time, those were already platted. They already had the design in place in order to put those homes. And so one of the things that I saw that was a concern for me was that, yes, we could get 44 homes there. But at the same time, they would be similar to what was over at Normandy Oaks. And Normandy Oaks, if you ever pass by that, is one that does not belong in the middle of our established neighborhoods. And so I was keen on making sure that that was being pushed back and that Robertson Brothers already had a plan in place, which was to build by right using the existing properties that were there. And I know I had many long conversations with Nick about that and making sure that, we saw, both our sides as far as making that final determination. In the end, I thought it was important that we maintain the character of our neighborhoods to make sure that it blended nicely with the rest of the neighborhoods as it was originally intended back in 1928. So that if we had a brand-new neighborhood that was established that looked something like Normandy Oaks, where they're all shoehorned together with alleyways and very narrow streets and very narrow front elevations where the front porch is about 10 feet from the sidewalk, that wasn't going to be viable. And the other concern I had was that, okay, well, we go that route and then we're taking up too much of what I thought was valuable green space that we would be getting back from the development of Shaw. And so we were successful in avoiding also what I thought would have been a mistake, which was to change the language of a PUD and apply it to our single-family zones. And so it was recommended by the Planning Commission, rightfully so, that that language should not take place in order to allow Robertson Brothers to develop the property that they had. So in the end, we voted not, we didn't, I don't think we even took up the discussion on it. And I'm glad that at least we had an opportunity later on to discuss with the school board, because they were intent on it, right? The school board wanted to maximize as much as they wanted from their property, and I give them every credit to do that. At the same time, my concern is that any development that we have to look at it generationally. Any decision that we make, any shovel that goes in the ground is an 80-year commitment to that property, that there's not a chance that that will be overturned in the next, heck, some of our homes, mine in particular, are over 100 years old. So if we don't do it right, we have multi-generational mistake on our hands. At the same time, I understand the circumstances that the school district was in order to try and maximize the return on investment, and also for Robertson Brothers. But at the same time, I don't think it was the fit that we needed for our community. And in the end, as it turned out, when they sold Baker, and I can't remember the developer for that, they came in and they said, nope, we've got to buy right. And so that they ended up with the property that they did. So the other thing is that we have a lot of tear downs that are happening now, which is a good sign. But at the same time, we have to look at the current ordinances and how those developments and those designs are impacting our neighborhoods. So one of the trends had been for a number of years was to have a garage forward development. And garage forward development is the exact opposite of what we are as a community. I've called ourselves a porch forward community, so that people gather on their porches. You see them walking by and they're sitting on their porches and have a conversation. So the developments that we were seeing is that you have what I call a above ground 2-car storage unit. Because what ends up happening is that the properties themselves, where they may have enough for a green space in their front yard, are now torn down in order to have a development with a 2-car garage, and that space is required to have a driveway that now takes up more than what the green space was there originally. And in the end, as I'm sure everyone has seen, if you drive by a house with a 2-car front garage, guess what's sitting where there once was grass? 2 cars. And so what we tried to do was we tried to limit that through we call a snout house ordinance. A snout house ordinance basically says you take the front elevation of the property, and that garage cannot be no more than 25% of the facade. And so that, and the other side of that is that you also are encouraging developers, in order to have the front door be 5 feet at least in front of what that garage is. And so again, that's hopefully trying to promote the porch forward community feel. Now, I've personally had conversations with some homeowners who've had designs in place that have been upset the fact that, gee, I can't have the design that I wanted because you, Mr. Shepherd, were responsible for the ordinance that won't allow it. And I have to remind those people that, look, we took this up as a body, we took it up as a planning commission at the time, and we all voted on it. And it turns out it was unanimous, because that was the direction. Did I champion it? Well, of course, because I saw the value in what it meant to our community in order to maintain the character that we have. So that those properties, now we have to look at that snot house ordinance and hopefully try to, there's some cute workarounds, I'll say, on some of the developments. There's a house that's on Hendrickson that's not quite under construction, and I don't remember the developer. But what ended up happening is that, so they've literally taken our ordinance, said that, yes, the garage is only 25% of the facade, but the house itself is so far back from the garage itself that they ended up making a 25-foot long, 6-foot wide corridor so that the front door meets our standards and is 5 feet in front of the garage. So, okay, so then we need to look at that. So, and again, on top of that is that, what did we do in order for those developments to happen? How much green space did we give up in the right-of-way in order to allow for a parking lot on front of what used to be green space, permeable surface, and a front yard.
Well, I think that's a good segue into the current city policies. And are there any current city policies or ordinances you believe should be revisited or reformed?
Well, that's one of them. I think
That-
we need
yes,
to
I
take a
would
look
say
at,
so.
at that. We, part of it was, that kind of dovetailed in with our lodge lot ordinance that I was part of back in, I want to say 2011, 2012, which was, again, the theme that I like to try and bring is that we need to preserve as much as we can of our existing green space. And that was one of the objectives, at least in theory, was to try and maintain the city, the residences that have a large lot. And what a large lot is, it's over 50 feet and a certain amount of depth, right? So that they can't be subdivided unless there's a need and a demonstration that they can be subdivided based off of a mean for the properties that exist on that street. So that it was hopefully a check so that we didn't have, I think first it was a check to try and mitigate our potential condominiums that were coming in, which was a threat at Lincoln. There was a Lincoln Oaks project that tried to do that, and that was kind of the catalyst, that there was a large lot property that somebody wanted to come in and make in the middle of that property 7 condominium units in the middle of a residential where there's, large mature trees there as an addition. And so we established that large lot, that ordinance. But I'd also, some of the other ordinances I would like to take a look at is how can we improve and attract new development within our city center that isn't necessarily a apartment complex. All right, because that was one of the things that was striking to me as far as the PNC development, that we have within our city center a prime location. Yeah, this is the development that we're going to get is the continuation of the glut of single bedroom and efficiency apartments, not only within Clawson, but within the 1 mile radius of our community. And I personally did a study as far as it's unscientific. I did as best I could to understand what our inventory is of apartments in the area and what the amount of single bedroom units are. And I think I came up with a number of about 8,000. So, and that's if we need more, I'd like to understand why. And so what I would like to try and do is improve the ability for parking within our downtown that doesn't constrain the convenience of our current businesses and our residents. So one of the things that I think was being looked at was single floor parking. And that was something that I was pushing for once the PNC Bank had developed. The fact that, okay, well, I don't think it's appropriate to having residences on a main street within 1 block of our downtown. So what could have happened if we were allowed something like an ordinance that would allow for first floor parking, right? But at the same time, if we do that, we may have to start considering as far as what we can do to maximize the other properties within downtown. We have a large number of single-story businesses and buildings within our downtown, and that is a restriction in some way to the development of getting new revenue and new business to come in. So now whether or not there's the need, I'm not sure. We may have to do that study, but we need to take a look at what the parking is and see if we can look at, or if we're going to do first floor parking, then do we go higher? And what height is acceptable for the community? Certainly I've asked people to say, okay, well, what downtowns do you enjoy, right? And I'll say, like, have you ever been up to Petoskey? And people will say, well, yeah, of course I have. So like, what do you think about their downtown? And it's like, oh, it's lovely. Right? Well, guess what? They have 4 stories on every building in their downtown. So maybe that's what we try to emulate. And hey, if we could be a Petoskey South, I think that would go towards our feel of a up north community in the middle of Oakland County. So those are kind of, and I've got a lot of others. I mean, I haven't touched on, overnight parking, which is another thing that I think we need to start looking at. So, but And I can go into trees and landscaping, but I won't do that. So,
Thank you.
All right, next we have Councilmember Peltonen.
Okay, so we are moving on to governance and decision-making. My first question is, how would you approach decision-making when the public opinion is divided on a controversial issue?
well, first and foremost, you have to develop your own opinion, and you have to develop your own opinion based on facts and data, right? And so as long as you have that, then you can speak to what your opinion is. And certainly a lot of times, it may be controversial just on that, because people feel that, well, that's not the course of action. But again, you have to have the long-term objective for what's best for a community. And so having that discussion with the school board regarding the Shalom property, I know they wanted 44, right? But we got them down to 39. So that was one that, you know, while I understood the facts regarding the amount of money that they would have lost, at the same time, I understood that there was a number of people that felt strongly that we need to do a development there. So in the end, as long as you stick to, you do your homework, you have to do your homework, you have to do your research. And if you do that, then you can at least have a discussion with somebody. And as long as it's respectful and open to listen as far as what the other side is saying, then of course it's going to be controversial, but it doesn't have to get ugly. And that's the one thing I think we need to start looking at, right? How do we have these discussions with people who have an emotional base in a lot of decisions or a lot of the topics that are coming up, and understand, like, okay, well, maybe we can rationalize this. Perhaps there's common ground, right? But we also have to be able to, you know, be respectful when I'm sharing an idea or somebody else is sharing an idea. But again, as far as while getting elected is a popularity contest, at the same time, governing is that you're not going to be able to appease every single person within this community with every decision you make. And you have to have that going in to making a difficult decision. That, look, I understand there's going to be people in the audience, you know, with, a lot of, fire and brimstone, right? But at the same time, like, look, you have to make the difficult decisions. And you have to know that coming in, that you're willing to make those difficult decisions.
Yeah. My second question is, how would you prepare for council meetings and ensure you're making informed decisions?
Well, like I mentioned, as far as especially for like the PNC bank, I had to understand what was going on, our need for development for that location. So understand what the needs are of the community, and then understand what the dynamics were with the discussion going on Planning Commission. So I had to go back and take a look at what the agenda items were for Planning Commission, and I would speak to a couple of members of Planning Commission, say, okay, what's going on? What your thoughts on this? And then once that was determined, again, come back with my facts and data. And so that's where I did my personal study regarding what's the inventory in this area. What do we have for square footage for other properties that we've already done? We did the Roth project, which I was not in favor of. It's across from the library because it's too much of a development in that small of a space. Not only that, but the fact that they have the poor design, in my opinion, with everybody's door wall that's within a certain amount of, 3 feet of the sidewalk? It should never have been there. Right. So, but anyway, lost my train of thought there. So, but anyway, so the bottom line is that it's your homework is to be that you come prepared. Right. It's not just getting a packet and opening it the day of. Right. You have to ask. You have to engage with city administration. And again, that goes back to long conversations with the city manager, assistant city manager, other members within the community. And, key stakeholders, right? They have to be listened to. But at the end, you have to come with your facts and data and your own ideas of what you believe to be the most important for this community. Because years from now, they're going to look at Roth Project and they're going to say, what were they thinking? And look, I mean, that may happen, right? Any decision that I make or you make, right? We have to be able to live with that decision. We can't second guess it after the fact. Right? There may be some things down the road that you can help to mitigate that. But that's the importance about making those decisions. So you have to do your homework. You have to become prepared. You have to be able to stand behind any decision that you make.
Thank you.
All right, my category is next, and I have ethics, commitment, and availability. So first question is, are you aware of the Open Meetings Act and your responsibilities under it?
Yes, I've been operating under the Open Meetings Act since 2010, which means that you cannot collaborate with anybody regarding a decision that could be coming in front of you. You can have discussion, but you certainly cannot be one that will influence a vote one way or another, and you certainly can't go around shopping for an opinion, right, in order to sway a decision. It has to be out in the open. So anything that you write down can and will be used against you, whether you like it or not. And, one of the things that you have to consider yourself is that if you may be using your personal cell phone in order to conduct business with the city, if there's ever a situation, and Rennis may correct me on this, right? But the fact that if there's anything that's pertinent to the city that demonstrates that it needs to be FOIA, you may lose your phone in order to take a look at whether or not there was a violation of the Open Meetings Act. And it may be just something simple, right? That, okay, well, 4 of us are going to wear the same shirt. Well, guess what? Now you violated the OMA Act because maybe that represents something that may be going against whatever is there. So that's that part. There was another part to the question?
Your responsibilities under it.
Oh, my thoughts. So you got to be watch for what you say, right? And this goes back to maintaining your records as well. So I like keeping things for 7 years at least to make sure that you have something. That's just for me as being a historian and a pack rat. I think that's my upbringing from my librarian mother in order to make sure that you've got detail on everything that you go back to for reference, right? So, yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah, I've had to, that's come up a couple times.
So the next question is, can you tell me how you would define ethical conduct and how you ensure ethical conduct in your role as a council member?
Sure. Well, ethics is doing the right thing even when it's uncomfortable. Doing things when nobody's saying that's the right thing, right? Making sure that when you say something, you stand by it. When you say something to somebody else, that you mean what you say and you follow through with that, right? Rather than saying something and then changing your mind at the last minute, right? So it's honesty, integrity, character. These are a lot of the things that go behind doing being ethical. And certainly as far as, making sure that, you're responsible to yourself, but at the same time, you're responsible for the entire community on your decisions and your actions. So the fact that, think about any decision that you make, right? Is this something that is going to, A, get me in trouble, or B, embarrass my kids, right? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that could embarrass my kids, don't get me wrong, but the fact that you have to make sure that you're always not second-guessing your decisions, because, again, that goes back to my previous statement, don't second-guess yourself, but always, question as far as whether or not the decision that you're making and the things that you were saying are something that you can stand behind.
Okay. Thank you. And then, do you have any potential conflicts of interest, financial, employment, family ties with the city operations or vendors?
No, I do not. No.
Okay.
In fact, I'll just say, during my campaign, I didn't take a dime from anybody. It was all self-funded. So there's nobody that's going to be knocking on my door and say, Mr. Shepherd, do you remember when we gave you whatever money? Right? That's not something, and again, that goes back to the ethics part of it. Right? The fact that, I'm here to serve the people. I'm here to serve at the best ability that I can, and knowing that I'm making the decisions are my own.
All right. Next, we have Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke.
All right, Mr. Shepherd, thanks for joining us. As far as vision and representation goes, how do you plan to represent the interests of all residents, including those who may not share your views?
You have to consider Clawson first. That you have to consider the residents before us, you have to consider the residents now, and you have to consider the residents in the future. So I will listen. I will do my best to do what's best for the community. And if it goes against somebody that has a different opinion, as long as it's best for the community, then I'll stand behind those decisions. So, I tell my team players, we are a team, and I say A-R-E. It's attitude, respect, and effort. So these are the things that, if I'm going to tell my kids that, or my team, I better be bringing that as well. And so that means that if I'm having a conversation with that person, understand that you may not like the decision, but I'm not doing it opposed to you. I'm doing it for the rest of the community.
Thank you. Next question, what specific goals would you hope to accomplish during your term?
Well, I'd like this to be the next Birmingham. I think that's a lofty goal, and I think we can achieve it. I think what we're moving towards with some of our properties is something that we could probably achieve. In that end, we have to maintain our school system. That is vital to our community. Our sustainability as a community lies hand in hand with the success of our schools. So that means, again, protecting what we have currently for our single home zones, and then improving the quality of life so that we can bring those people in. So that means collaborating with the schools and what shared resources they have so that we have kids that are out engaged in the park that, this may give me a lot of trouble, but I'd much rather see more kids in our parks than dogs. Love to see that, right? At one point in time, again, I'll use my baseball bona fides, that we had, I think, 5 baseball diamonds in City Park at one point in time. When we're down to, I believe, 2, maybe 3, right? That's a problem. One of them is shared with the schools. So that, again, is vitally important to make sure that we're in concert with the limited resources that we already have. And I get it, right? We had to get rid of the park over at Shalom and the baseball diamond over at Baker, right? It was not our property, but we were basically leasing it from the school district. But we have to find another way in order to make sure that there's an avenue for recreation in our community. And I think the master plan for the Parks and Recreation is key to that, so that it's not just for the kids, right? I mean, that's fundamental to the sustainability and viability of our community for the long run. But we have to address all the needs of our community, right? We have senior citizens that needs. We have programs such as Team Guts that provide services, physical training for special needs community. I mean, those are the types of programs that we need to make sure that are successful. And we do what we can in order to give them as much as we are able to in order for them not just to succeed, right, but grow, right? If we can get that to happen and have more people come to Clawson and have Clawson be the destination that I know it should be, then we'll have succeeded.
Thank you.
All right, well, that concludes our list of formal questions. We'd like to give you the opportunity for any closing statements or anything else you wanted to share with us that wasn't asked.
Sure, yeah, and I'll just reiterate my experience. So I've been a resident in Clawson for 22 years. I've served on this board for 4. I've served overall for the community for 16. I know the issues. I don't know of anybody else who's come up here who has the breadth of knowledge, the history, the experience, directly working with Clawson that I do. And I will represent, as I always have, the needs of our entire community, not just one special group, but everybody. And those are the decisions that I make, and that goes back to the founding principles that I have, that we are we're the greatest community. There's none better. But I know we can be better. And certainly I hope that you consider my experience, the things that I've done, and the people I represent, which is this entire community, and consider me for appointment. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming in, and thank you so much for your willingness to serve. We appreciate your time and your interest. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
All right, so we do not have Mr. Renshaw, correct?
No, ma'am. So the clerk reminded me of the posting that clearly did indicate that today would be interviews.
Yeah, and we had talked about it, from back on the 17th, we talked about this date, we talked about it at the last council meeting. So I think that unfortunately we'll have to just move forward with our process without any modifications, because we regret that he can't be with us, but we'll just, if the body is agreeable to that, having a discussion. So I'll make a motion that we remove Mr. Renshaw's candidacy from our list of candidates for this evening. Is there,
Support.
Question.
yeah,
Is it necessary for a motion to the city attorney?
No, not necessarily, but, the motion being on the table, it's perfectly appropriate that they do so. And remove him from consideration, have the vote if the body so wills it.
yeah. So, any discussion about that? Everyone comfortable with doing that? No comments, complaints, discussion, thoughts, or whatever? All right, roll call on that then.
Yes.
Councilmember Rinkovich,
Yes.
Councilmember Slawinski,
Yes.
Councilmember Tenlin,
Yes.
Mayor Moffett,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke.
Yes.
All right, well then we will move to our next item on the agenda, which is public comment. I would invite anyone who wishes to speak to the podium. We will give you 4 minutes. We ask that you say your name and indicate if you are a Clawson resident or a visitor to our fair city. As a reminder, there's no back and forth. We can't answer questions, but if there's anything that you do ask, we'll try and find a place to get that question addressed. Is there anyone who wishes to speak?
Hello, Council. Katie Terrell, Clawson resident. Last week I was here and I submitted my petition that had Alex Bishuk's. It was my petition to support Alex Bishuk in his candidacy, and we had about 100 signatures, I believe. I think Michelle could probably verify. And after speaking with residents, there's so much support. There's so much love. Also with Scott Manning. They both have a lot of love. So I just hope that you all take into consideration all of the residents who took time to come and sign the petition, send emails, and we look forward to seeing your response.
Anyone else?
Good evening, Mayor Moffett, members of council. Adam Duberstein, I do live in Clawson. Thank you for having this tonight. And I just want to say we have 2 gems in our community that are here, Alex Bishuk and Scott Manning. These 2 gentlemen exemplify what Clawson is all about. These 2 men, I've campaigned with them, I've walked with them, I've gotten to know them. They're both good friends. They want to see the city grow, they want to see the city prosper, and they want us to do well. And I hope that you will look at their candidacies and really consider the things that they said tonight. I know they're going to move us forward. If you could pick them both, that would be amazing. But I know there's only one. But they're both just incredible gentlemen. And I hope that you'll consider Scott and Alec. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else who'd like to speak tonight? Seeing no one else getting up or grabbing a paper, we will go ahead and close public comment. So our next item on the agenda is discussion of the city council candidates and recommendation for appointment. I'm going to make the motion that we have a discussion about how to move forward. And
Support.
so that we can have that discussion. Thank you. So just, I'll open the topic and then I'll toss it to you guys. But we had originally said that we would do the interviews and then we would potentially make our decision and appoint someone at the December 17th? 16th, thank you, 16th council meeting. I would prefer to do that, but I'm going to defer to you guys. Let's all have a conversation whether we want to try and, appoint someone tonight or if we want to mull it over and do it at the next council meeting as discussed. So Councilmember Tinlin, take it away.
I'm always the first one.
I know, right? I'll start going this way to that way, sorry.
So, I'd just like to thank all the applicants for that first. I guess I'm we all saw them campaign, right? So I would be open to make a decision now.
Okay.
Versus mulling it over. We got a lot of input, right, by city emails, by personal interactions. So I'd like to also hear how the other council members feel about it, because, I was during the last meeting, I was real clear that I still feel that certified vote totals are one of the big decision levers. I know we don't like to hear that sometimes, but that's the current Michigan election law. That's why we're all sitting here now. So I'd love to hear how my other council members feel about that, because this is going to be a very important decision for us, right? So I'm more of a rule guy, right? So, and this has been a very emotional topic, to say the least.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Slawinski.
I thank everybody for coming here for their interviews. I have a different opinion about the votes and using it as the fifth vote. Is that what you were saying? You were real vote, so you would go?
Well, we're talking about runner-up, right? The runner-up is the person that came in fifth place.
So I do not look at it that way, because the ballot said vote no more than 4. So the way that I look at that is, if it said vote for no more than 5, it could have been a different outcome. So that's what I'll say. I just like to bring that up, because I believe that's how I look at it. I mean, I believe that.
So the question at hand, though, is do we want to decide on who we're going to appoint tonight, or do we want to defer to the next council meeting? Are you ready to make a decision tonight, is basically?
I'm ready to make a decision tonight.
Okay. Councilmember Rinkovic.
I, too, am capable of making a decision tonight.
Okay.
If that's the way the rest of council wants to go, I'm happy to do that. And I, too, am in agreement with Laura in the sense that the November election allowed voters to select 4 candidates. The raw totals don't tell us who voters preferred one-on-one, but the overall results showed a choice for new leadership. So, yes,
Okay.
so that's where we're going.
Councilmember
I'm going.
Peltonen.
Yeah, I could definitely make a decision this evening. I also think we don't have really a terrible choice in front of us
Oh,
either way.
great.
So
Okay.
I'd be happy to choose tonight.
All right, I'm getting overruled. Go ahead. Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke.
Yeah, so I also see it a little differently than just the next highest vote getter. Because, I go to the ordinance and it says, to ensure that our appointment aligns with the most recently expressed preferences of Clawson voters. Doesn't say the next highest vote getter, it says the expressed preferences. And like I said last time, you're looking at the expressed preferences of the voters on the dais right now. So that's my interpretation of that. I could make a decision tonight. We already have it scheduled for the 16th, so I could wait till then. But like I said last time, we've gotten a ton of information. We have all the inputs, I would say. So we might as well stop kicking the can down the road.
All right. So the general consensus is let's make a decision tonight, and I'm not one to fight back against that. So I think the way that we sort of did this in the past, and Mr. Nushai, I'm going to look for your approval. I think that if we could each put our, I think we just need to identify our number 1 and number 2 person, and then we'll each go through and say who our number 1 and who our number 2 person is, and then if the city clerk will tabulate that for us and say to determine who the final person would be. Is that?
I think that's fair, ma'am, and I hope you can hear me. I think that's fair, ma'am. That's what you utilized in the past. Remember, per this ordinance, council will also take in consideration the results of the last election. That doesn't mean, I don't know, ultimately, that is precisely the weight that you give it, so long as you give it some weight.
Right, we all thought about it.
Precisely.
All right, so if you all, everyone here knows who their first pick is and their second pick is, I will go through and we will go through. I'm going to just make a note for myself, like it's in my head. I don't know, I have to write it down, but I do. All right. And we'll go through and say our number 1 person and our number 2 person. We'll start with Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke.
Are we just saying 1 and 2, or are we explaining one, or is it discussion, or is this just straight to 1, 2?
This is, we're ranking them for the purposes of the city clerk tabulating
Okay, if
our
we're just ranking 1 and
opinions.
2, okay.
Yep.
All right, my number 1 pick is Alex Spishak, number 2, Scott Manning.
And my number 1 pick is Alex Spishak, and number 2, Scott Manning.
So my number 1 pick is Alex Spishak, and number 2 would be Glenn Shepherd.
My number 1 is Alex Spishak. My number 2 is Scott Manning.
My number 1 is Alex Spishak, and my number 2 is Scott Manning.
My number 1 is Glenn Shepherd, and my number 2 is Alex Spishak.
All right, complicated math there.
So 5-1. Five for Alec and 1 for, what you have it written down there.
Yes.
I didn't tally.
Madam Mayor, you have 5 for Alex Bishak, and you have 1 for Glenn Shepherd. As far as,
Okay.
so hands down, it's
Okay,
Spishak.
so we have determined that Alex Spishak is going to be our number 7 council member. We will make a motion to have that be official, so someone else want to make a motion?
I can
Go
make
for
it. So I move that the council appoint Alex Spishak to fill the vacant council seat in accordance with Ordinance 792 and in recognition of resident outreach, petition signatures, and the demonstrated alignment of his candidacy with the most recent expressed preferences of Clausen voters.
Support.
Any more discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Rinkovich,
Yes.
Councilmember Slawinski,
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin,
Yes.
Mayor Moffett,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke,
Yes.
Councilmember Peltman.
Yes.
All right, we have selected Alice Spishak, saying it right this time, as our number 7 council member. Will that, his swearing-in be added to the agenda for Tuesday?
If you would like to, we could go and get the oath and administer it now. I know his wife is not here at the moment, or we can do a ceremonial we can do it now so that he's actually part of it, and I can make him, he'll receive the packet. I think it'd probably be best just to do it now, and then we'll do a ceremonial one, so his wife would be included in his family at the next meeting.
Looking
But
to
this
him,
way,
do you care? He said, all right, let's do it. We'll take a minute while she goes and gets the oath. A lot of dead air in this meeting. I feel bad. So while she goes and gets the oath, we obviously want to thank all the candidates who came out tonight, who spent all their time preparing and going through this process with us. It was something that we all gave a lot of thought to, and the community was very involved in it. So we thank everybody who participated in the process, but mostly the candidates who put their name in the ring and were willing to be, under public scrutiny and participate in the process. It's very much appreciated. And Mr. Nushai. So he has a seat on the DDA. Does he have to formally resign from that, or does his accepting the position
He will have to formally resign, yes.
before we swear him in, or?
It can be done, simultaneously, I presume.
Okay.
As soon as he rises, he's going to give us that indication.
Should we invite him to the podium to do so?
Right, yes. Thank you.
Long time no see. Do I just say it?
Sure.
Yes.
I, Alex Spishak, am formally resigning from the DDA, Clausen
Assume
DDA,
effective immediately.
effective immediately.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You know, I've been to Greek Orthodox weddings, you know, do everything 3 times.
Okay. While you were gone, he resigned from the DDA, just FYI.
Okay, as you raise your right hand, repeat after me. I do solemnly swear. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of this state. The Charter of the City of Clausen. And that I'll faithfully perform the duties. Of the office of council member. In and for the City of Clausen. County of Oakland. And State of Michigan. According to the best of my ability. Welcome, Alex.
All right.
Madam Mayor,
Oh, I was going to say something too.
can we all do a picture?
Oh, do we want to?
Can I say something really quick about the petition, just to the community?
We don't really have an opportunity for council comments, but
Okay.
maybe during the next
Next
council
one,
meeting we can
yeah,
do
that would be
That'd be
good.
more appropriate. We'll take a picture afterwards, but I was going to invite Councilmember Spishak. We need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Slawinski.
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin.
Yes.
Councilmember Spishak.
Yes.
Mayor Moffett.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke.
Yes.
Councilmember Pelton.
Yes.
Councilmember Rinkovich.
Yes.
All right, we have voted to adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. We appreciate all of your engagement. Have a safe evening.